In this episode of John's Arcade, we're going back to the garage and we're going to work on that Philips Laserdisc player. That's right, the Laserdisc player in Atari's Firefox. Then we're going to come back to the table and do some viewer mail. All right, guys, let's get on with the show. Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today on John's Arcade, we are going back to the garage. That is right, guys. I guess this is part number 2 of the Firefox. Well, it's not really a restore. It's more or less a repair, or let's get that game working kind of video series. Because in the last video, in part number 1, we picked up the game. That is right. We picked up the Firefox, and yes, Firefox is a Laserdisc game, and I am, of course, a laser guy. But anyway, we picked up the Firefox, we brought it in the garage, and we started messing around with it. And the Laserdisc player is not working at all, okay? And I started poking around the power supply, trying to figure out what was wrong with it. It was getting voltages, and we ended up figuring that there was some kind of a short or something on the other side of the player that was causing the power supply voltages to go down, okay? And so the last week or two here, I guess it's been almost 2 weeks, right? I've been messing with that thing like every single night, okay? And I kind of had a breakthrough, and we're going to see it in this video. So we're going to go back to the garage. We're going to start screwing around with the Laserdisc player, and we're going to see if we can fix this thing, okay? And it's a Philips Laserdisc player. It's made in Belgium. It's super rare. It has a horrible reputation. And if we can get this thing working, the game will work, because everything else on this Firefox is working. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go to the garage and let's get working on that Philips Laserdisc player and see if we can fix the Firefox. All right, guys, we're back in the garage. So today, well, we're going to work on the Firefox, because in the last video, well, we got the game. We brought it back in the garage here. And the game kind of works. It's a Laserdisc game. The Laserdisc portion is not working, but the video game portion is. And in the last video, we kind of screwed around a little bit with the Laserdisc player, and we figured some stuff out, okay? And I have figured out a whole bunch more since the last video, okay? So in the last video, I was focusing on the power supply. And by the way, this is the Laserdisc player that came with the Firefox right here. It's a Philips made in Belgium Laserdisc player. It's impossible to replace, and it's the one you need to have to work with Firefox, unless you get the Laser Ace card, which is a card that enables you to use other Laserdisc players. However, the Laser Ace card is no longer in production, and it's impossible to get as well. So really, I want to try to fix this Laserdisc player, and if I can't, then I might have to get the Dexter card, which is coming out soon, which is a little modern Laserdisc emulator replacement board. But anyway, I want the original to work because I think that's super cool. But anyway, so in the last video, I was focusing on the power supply here. And I was testing the voltages. I was following the schematic and stuff, and basically I was getting AC voltage into the transformer. I was getting 30 volt DC AC out of the transformer. It was going through the bridge rectifier. I was getting the proper DC voltages out of that. And I started measuring at the test points. I was getting 12 volts and negative 12. But then the further down the power supply it went, the voltages started disappearing, okay? And then I realized if I disconnected this connector right here, okay, if I disconnected that connector, all of the voltages would appear on the power supply. Therefore, the power supply was working, just not under load, okay? Because when this is plugged in, all these other boards are drawing power from the power supply, okay? So I know a lot of you guys commented with suggestions and ideas and saying that the power supply needed to be rebuilt. It wasn't strong enough once you put the load on. Some people said, John, you must have some kind of a short on this side, because when you plug it in, the short is taking the power supply down, okay? So I started screwing around with this big time, okay? And so what happens now, if I turn it on, okay, and I hold this little safety switch, if you watch here, that thing spun just for like a half a second, okay? Because, so what I think is happening is that when the power supply is under load, I turn on the Laserdisc player, It has the full voltage for a split second to turn this spindle just a little bit. And then if there is a short over here, it's potentially causing this to shut down, okay? And so what I thought was, okay, well, we know that this is working when this is disconnected. When it's plugged in, it's not working. So if there is a short over here, I should start unplugging stuff to see if we can isolate the short to one board, okay? And that's what I did, okay? So now here's the thing. I got super, super lucky, okay? Because the first board I disconnected, well, it's the most obvious one. It's the board right here on top, okay? Very easy to get to. I've got connectors right here. I'm like, wow, I mean, if I'm gonna start somewhere, it's gonna be right here. So I come in here and I disconnect all these plugs, okay? And I'm like, all right, let's remove this PCB from the circuit, okay? So if the short is on this board, well, it's now removed. That variable is removed from the equation, okay? And then I came over here and I turned it on, and then I came here and I put my finger on the safety switch, and look at that. The thing comes to life. I'm like, holy cow, right? So I got super lucky. The short is, I think, somewhere on this board right freaking here. The easiest board to get to, right on top. The smallest board with the least amount of components. I'm like, my God, how lucky could I be, right? So I started talking like Ian Kellogg on the John's Arcade forum and Mark Spaeth, and I'm like, hey, I think I have a short on here, and we're all looking at the schematic, okay? So I grabbed the schematic for this board. This board is called the Control 2 board, okay? And it's my understanding that this board controls the slide motor for the laser, okay? Because right here is the laser, right? And it's on this little belt, and this thing slides back and forth, and there's a motor that controls that, and this board controls that motor. That's my understanding of what this board does. So anyway, we looked at the schematics. I looked at them, and a lot of parts are missing that are on the schematic but not on the board. And then so we started targeting the big stuff, right? Like these ICs. So I came in the garage here, and I just started removing parts. Okay, so I removed this IC. And then I plugged the board in to see if the short's still there. Nope, it's not. I put it back in. Then I would remove this IC. I'd plug the board back in. Still doesn't work. I removed pretty much every large chip with more than 8 legs on this board. I even started removing these caps because I looked at the schematic and these were going to ground, and I thought maybe if one of these were bad, it was pulling the whole board low. So I pulled these caps off. I'm looking at the schematic. I'm like, I pulled a couple diodes off, and I'm testing the parts as I go along. And then, I'm talking to Ian, I'm talking to Mark, I'm looking at the schematic myself, and then basically we started kind of isolating it to over here, to these transistors. Ian's like, check those, Mark says check those. You look at the schematic, you can see that, these are a big part of the circuit. I also figured out, too, that, by the way, this input here is for the voltage. This pin is ground. I think the middle pin is -12, and then the far right pin is 12. And so Ian had me put my ohm meter on here to see if there was a short across these pins. And what we found out is that ground to 12 and ground to -12, ground to 12 and ground to -12 had very high ohms, very high resistance. It was like 1.7K ohms. So it didn't look like ground was shorted to these pins, okay? But when I put my ohm meter on between 12 volts and -12, I was getting like 11 ohms, like a really low reading. Over here I was getting 1.7K, 1.7 thousand ohms, but over here I was getting just 11 ohms. And Ian's like, well, it looks like the 12 volts and the -12 are shorted together. And so again, we look at the schematic. I told Mark Spaeth the same thing, and he's like, it sounds like it's these transistors, and Ian also said the same thing too. He said, look at these transistors over here. They're for the slide motor circuit, the last part of it, and 12 volts and -12 interact over here. So I did. So first I pulled off this one, and I plugged it in. I also tested it. Nothing happened. And then I pulled this one out and I started testing it. Actually, let's pull this guy out right here. So this is 6113, and if we look at the schematic, I actually have the schematic on my phone right here. So here's the schematic that we're talking about right here. All these voltages here. This is right before it goes into the slide motor, okay? And 6113 is this BC368, okay? So we're going to remove this guy and test it. And I already did this, so I'm kind of recreating what I did. And so 6113, let's pull this guy out right here. And it's this one right here. So let's go ahead and just desolder that really fast and pull it out. And then we're going to test it, okay? And I'll show you guys how I tested that. Where's my solder? So we're going to pull out 6113, which is a BC 368 transistor. Okay, and I actually printed out the data sheet, and I'll show you why in a second. But so I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to quickly desolder this guy. Okay, and I'm using my hacker, which is amazing. So let's pull this one out. Okay, so here it is. This is the transistor. It's a BC 368. It's really hard to read, but that's what it says. Okay, and so I got the data sheet on this. Okay, and then which tells me that this is an NPM, which is like negative, positive, negative amplifier, general purpose transistor amplifier, TO92 package, which is this shape with the 3 legs, okay? And it is, and then here's the label, it's base collector emitter. So if we have it with the flat side down, from left to right, it's base collector and emitter, okay? And then what I did is I printed out some transistor testing instructions, because I always forget how to do this. It's actually kind of it messes with your head a little bit. And so let me grab a marker and I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, so we're gonna put our transistor on this piece of paper with the flat side down, and I'm gonna come in here and just write base collector emitter, just so I can keep it straight for myself, okay? All right, and flat side down, base collector emitter, NPN. And if I look at my little testing transistor cheat sheet here, it says hook the positive lead to the base and the negative lead to the emitter, okay? And by the way, we're gonna use a multimeter, we're gonna put it on diode test, okay? Diode test, because the transistor is essentially like a couple diodes inside. Not really, but it behaves that way. And we basically want to get a reading in one direction, but not the other, okay? So I'm going to put it on diode test. And so let's go ahead and put our positive on base, like it says, and the negative on emitter, okay? And whoops, and it's a little tricky because it's a small part, but we're going to come in here. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. We got a reading of 0.642 volts, okay? And that's the voltage drop, okay? And if we look here, it says on a good NPN transistor, we have an NPN, we should get a reading between 0.45 and 0.95. And we did, so that test passes, okay? Step 2, base to collector, keep the positive lead on the base and place the negative on the collector. Positive on the base and the negative on the collector, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. And we got 0.6, okay? For a good NPN, we should get 0.45 to 0.9. We did, okay? Now we're going to put the emitter to base. Positive on the emitter and the negative to the base, okay? So the positive on the emitter and the negative on the base. Let's see. And we got open, okay? And it says that we should get open, okay? Let's see, that was emitter to base. For a good NPN, you should see OL, okay, over limit, okay? Now we're gonna do collector to base. Hook the positive lead from the multimeter to the collector, and then put the positive on the collector and the negative on the base. Positive on the collector, and the negative on the base. And we should get, it's really tricky here. Positive. There we go. We got no reading, okay? So that was positive on the collector and negative on the base. Good, okay? Okay, now we're going to do the final test here, which is step 5, collector to emitter. Hook the positive meter lead to the collector and the negative to the emitter. So positive collector, negative emitter. A good NPN or PNP will read OL or over limit. Then swap the leads, and once again, you should also get OL. Okay, so positive to collector and negative to the emitter. And basically, we should get the same reading in both directions, positive or negative, and negative to positive. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so you hear that beeping? That is a short. Okay, and we're supposed to get no reading there over limit. infinite resistance, okay? Those are shorted together. In both directions, I'm getting a beeping sound. Okay, so that part is bad. Okay, so I figured that out the other night. I'm testing it. I figured out there's a short there. I'm like, holy cow. And then I took the board, okay, with the part missing, okay, just to verify how this thing behaves. Okay, so I plugged this all back in. And I'm like, okay, so let me make sure this is off. So I plugged this all back in. Let me do this really quick, just to see how it behaves, you know, because we removed the part that potentially is the short. Because is there another short on the board? I don't know. And I figured this would kind of tell me. Okay, so let's do this really quick. 24 is this one. 25. All these are labeled, by the way. Okay, that's 26. Okay, so then I plugged it all back in. I came in here, turned it on, and then I pushed this button. And right now, the whole thing's plugged in, and everything's working. I'm like, oh my God, I think I just found the short, okay? So then I had to order the part, okay? Now I started Googling this part, BC368, and this is an obsolete part, okay? I'm like, crap. So I found like you can order them on China and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, where am I gonna find this transistor? I didn't want to order it from China and wait, you know, so I asked Ian Kellogg. I'm like, hey man, can you help me find a modern equivalent for this? And so he did. He went on the Mouser website for me and told me to get this stuff here. Now, I actually got the BC368 modern equivalent. The NPN is this one right here. This is a Fairchild bipolar transistor, the part number, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's some crazy number. So I got this one. And then Spaeth, I was talking to Mark Spaeth. He said I should replace these in pairs, okay? Because there's one next to it that is the PNP, which is a 369. So I also ordered that one. So we're going to replace both of them, the NPN and then its matching pair, the PNP next to it. These parts were like 12 cents, okay? Really cheap, okay? So I ordered them, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna replace these right now. We're gonna plug this back in, and I have no idea what's gonna happen. I mean, I'm praying to the arcade gods that we fix it right now, because that would be freaking amazing if it's like 12 cents worth of parts that went bad on this, and we fix it. I mean, holy cow. So let's do the 368 first, which is the NPN. Okay, and here's the NPN one right here. And so I ordered 10 of these because, again, they were super cheap. They're like 12 cents a piece. You know, $1.20 for 10 of them, okay? And so the pinout on these should be exactly the same as this. We double-checked it like a million times. I kept asking, you know, I'm like, you're sure this is the right part? He was looking at the data sheet. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I showed it to Mark. I'm like, is this the good part? And we all agreed that this was the right one. So let's go ahead and put it on here. If you look on the drawing on the board, there is a flat side, okay? And on the part, there's also a flat side. So we need to make sure we match that up properly. And I'm going to go ahead and bend the center leg out because it kind of goes in as like a triangle, okay? And I'm wondering if we should pull out that 369 part and just test it really quick, and then also replace it. Because I tried testing it and it tested a little goofy to me, and I'd like to test it again. Maybe we'll do that together. But let's get this part in here first. And I'm just trying to get it in these holes. There's probably some easier way to do this that you guys are going to tell me about. Okay, so it's a bigger part. I think it's a little more robust. Okay, so let's come in here and just hit it with some solder. Man, if this fixes it and it was a 12-cent part, holy crap. I mean, how awesome will this be if this thing works after we replace that transistor? Okay, that thing's sitting up really high. Okay, let me get my side cutters and we'll trim this back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim these back. I'm just cutting above the solder. Okay. So the part that was next to it, let me just verify where the 369 is. Okay, so the 369 is right here, which is 6112. So I'm going to go ahead and just test that and replace it because Mark thought it was a good idea to replace these in pairs. He's an electrical engineer. He knows more than I do. I'm going to trust him on that. So 6112 is our BC369. So 6112 is the one right next to it. So let's go ahead and just remove that guy from the board really quick. And I didn't really fully test this one before. So I'm curious to see when we go through the complete test here how it tests. Oh my God. So let's go ahead and pull this guy off. Okay, right there. Now this one is kind of the opposite of the other one. This is a PNP, meaning the legs I think are positive, negative, positive. That's my understanding. And so let's do it the same way we did the other one. I'm going to put it on the piece of paper, and I'm going to write BCE. It's actually the same pinout as the other one. So let's put it flat. BCE. So when you're testing transistors, always try to find that pinout because it'll tell you what leg is what. They're not always the same, okay? So this one is BCE. Sometimes the base is in the center, sometimes it's not. All right, so let's grab our little cheat sheet. Let's grab our multimeter. And the first one we're going to do is base to emitter. Okay. So positive to negative, base to emitter. And let's see what we get on this. Okay, so we get no reading, and this is a PNP, and on a PNP we should get no reading. Okay, now we're going to base to a collector. So we're going to keep our here and go to collector, and I think we're supposed to get no reading there too. Yep, base to collector. On a PNP we should get no reading, and we did. And now we're going to do red to emitter and black to base. Red to emitter, black to base, and we should get a reading on this one. We get 0.676, and that was emitter to base, and with a PNP we should be getting that. Now we're going to go collector to base, red on collector, black on base, and we get 0.676, and we should, with the PNP, we should get 0.45 to 0.9 volts. Okay, and now the last test is collector to emitter, and we should get no reading at all. And the last time, the other one, we got a short here. Boy, we're getting a short on that part too. But not in this direction. In one direction, we were getting a short, but not in the other direction. That's interesting. Let's try that again. So, emitter to collector, positive to negative was a short, and we're getting a short. That one's shorted too, according to that test. Well, that's interesting. Well, let's replace it. Because when I tested it before, I thought it was testing goofy, and it looks like it's bad. So where's my other parts here? Okay, so this is the PNP. I'm curious if the new one tests that same way. Let's try it. I'm just curious to see what we get if I go emitter to collector. Collector to emitter. Boy, these new parts are a lot bigger. Let's see. Damn, these are hard to grab. Yeah, see, it doesn't beep like that. So that's how it's supposed to be. And if I reverse it, yep. So I think that 369 might be bad. I think Mark was right to replace them both. You know, we might even have more bad parts on here, and this might not really fully fix it. Because there's two other transistors right here. So this will be interesting to see. So let's put this guy in. And again, it has really big form factor. compared to the one I pulled out. Okay. Again, I'm putting the flat side to the flat side on the drawing. And let's flip it over and tack it in with some solder. Okay. And then let's plug this thing in and see what happens. Okay, let's trim all this stuff back and plug it in and see what happens, guys. Okay, let's double check our work. Flat side. Looks good. Okay, so let's plug it in and let's see what happens here. Let me make sure this thing is off. Okay. I have unplugged and replugged this board in like 5,000 times now. All right, guys, this is it. The moment of truth. We're all plugged in. So let's see how this thing behaves now with all the parts back in. So we're not missing any parts. So I'm going to turn it on. Look at that. Look at that. The laser just moved. It centered itself. And if I push this now, okay, we might have fixed it here, guys. The laser just moved. So let's put a disc in and see how it behaves, because this thing should just start working with the disc in. It should start playing. So it's spinning. I have no idea if we're getting video. We're going to have to plug it in to find out. See, is the laser moving? I have no idea. So it might be playing, it might not. We're going to have to just plug it in now. So let me grab the Laserdisc player. Let's plug it into the game, and let's see what happens. Okay, I have the Laserdisc player all hooked up. It's just like a few connections. There's a little serial plug, some audio, like RCA jacks, and then the BNC, which is the video, and then the power. So let's plug this in. Guys, I'm super excited right now. So let's go ahead and turn the game on. Let's see if the Laserdisc player starts. It's not starting. What's up with that? Make sure we're turned on. There we go. This power cable, I think, is a little flaky. There it goes. All right. So she's spinning. All right. Look at this. What is happening? Uh-oh. What does that mean? Oh. Oh, man. This doesn't seem good, guys. What is that? The disc is going faster. Maybe it's just not fully synced yet. I don't know. Thing's really spinning right now. Come on, please play. Show me some video. I wonder if I should grab the TV from the basement and, because I guess there's some board, some NTS, whatever, the video board that does something with the video signal that could be a little flaky on this that we don't know. And I wonder if I should hook this up to a TV to see if we get the Firefox video. I wonder if I should go grab that PVM monitor from the basement. Because it really seems like the Laserdisc player is playing right now. The thing's flying. Yeah, I think we should do that. Do I have a BNC cable though? All right, let me go see what I have. Okay, I went and grabbed my Sony PVM monitor from downstairs. This was sitting on top of the Dragon's Lair. So I took the BNC cable, the video cable from the game, because this plugged in, one side plugged into the PCB, and the other side the Laserdisc player. So I'm just gonna come back here and put it on video in on this, okay? And then let's go back here and put it on the video out. Okay, so let's see what happens when we have it hooked up just to a television. That way we can kind of just see what it's really doing, because with the game plugged in, we have all those other variables going on, and I would just like to eliminate those. So let's just see if this is a player problem or a game problem. So let's plug in the PVM monitor. Let's come over here and plug in the Laserdisc player. All right, let's see what happens, guys. The TV's on, and so is the Laserdisc player. It says no sync. Nothing's happening. Oh no, there it goes. So I think it just kicked on to play. Nope. I don't know what that beeping sound is. Okay, well, it's going like crazy now. I turned it on and off. It looks like it got like sync or whatever with the laser. The laser found the disc, and we still have the same issue. It's this. And oh boy. So we have bigger problems here. I don't know what it is. I was looking at the Laserdisc, and it looked like there was a crack in it, okay? Now I've got this. A gentleman up in Canada who works for Service Coin. Really nice guy. He came down to BroFest with a bunch of prizes that Service Coin donated, and he gave me this. And let's try this other disc. Maybe we'll get lucky. Wouldn't that be nice? Because once that disc stops spinning, I'll show you. But it has a crack in it. It's on the edge, though. It doesn't seem to be in the actual play area, but there's definitely a crack in that disc. So let's try this other disc, which is kind of smudgy from the saran wrap, but we'll see. I'm just going to kind of see if I can very carefully stop that. So let's, but you can see right here, there's a crack. See that? And I doubt that's affecting because it's not going all the way, but let's try the other disc just because we're able to. All right, here we go. Turn it on. I also have my Dragon's Lair disc I guess we could put in there too. So I don't know that beeping. Uh-oh. I don't know what's happening here. I think our player is just hosed. Okay, there it goes. It's ramping up. You hear it getting louder? This old technology sucks. Arg. Boy, I don't know what to do now, man. I'm stuck. If you guys got ideas, I'm all ears, but I think I have officially hit a dead end now. I don't know where to go from here. It could be an issue with the mirrors inside there, because I know those fall off and the laser loses focus, and you gotta be kind of skilled to fix that. And I don't know if I really want to take it on, to be honest, because I heard it's very tricky to do. All right, let me think about what we're gonna do, and I'll be back. All right, guys, we're still getting the same thing here. Actually, a few days have passed, and I've been researching and posting on the internet, and you know, I've been going to the Dragon's Lair project forums, the Dragon's Lair project forums, and it's a pretty great place. Yeah, I'm stopping the disc with my hand very carefully. And the one guy on there told me that I should clean the objective lens, he calls it, which is the big laser that's right on top, like the kind of the laser beam, the optics that are right on top. So I figured we could try that. I doubt this is going to work, but you know, why not? Let's use a little bit of alcohol. I've got this stuff here. It's isopropyl alcohol. Didn't I say this word wrong before? Is it isopropyl? Isopropyl alcohol. This is 50%. And, you know, the idea here is this is going to evaporate. I'm just going to take a Q-tip, and I'm just going to clean this lens a little bit here very carefully. I'm going to go over it with the wet end and then kind of dry it off with the other. And let's just clean this up. Maybe I can't get focus because this lens is dirty. I don't know. I mean, nothing really came off on it. People say that these lenses can't get dusty because the disc spins so fast, it just kind of kicks all the dust off. So I doubt this is going to fix it, but why not? It's easy to do, and let's give it a second here to dry. And if this doesn't do it, I think we're going to start taking this thing apart. I haven't decided how far I want to go with this. I just haven't. Because once we take it apart, we'll find out if there's some mirrors in here. And I guess the mirrors like freeze up. And if we discover that, I need to decide if I want to take that job on. There's actually some rebuild instructions. It's the same deal. There's some rebuild instructions online for the mirrors and the assembly. There's magnets and mirrors inside here. And we'll let this go for a few seconds, and we'll see if it locks on. I doubt it's going to. Because it seems like the laser is not getting focus on the disc, I think. That's my layman's guess here. And it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. It's consistently spinning, though. It's not like slowing down and then speeding up and slowing down and speeding up, which is signs that the laser's not getting focus. So I believe the laser sees the disc. I don't know. But yeah, nothing's happening here. That can't be right. Look at that. All right, so let's turn it off. And I think we're going to dig inside here and see what we can find out. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the Laserdisc player. Oh, man, I'm very doubtful that we're going to fix this in this episode here. I think this is more or less a fact-finding mission. I mean, we certainly are in better shape than we were when we started the video because the thing's actually working. You know, obviously the power supply is now working because we replaced those transistors. But we obviously have more problems here, and it could be inside here. And so this right here is, I guess, the objective lens, and this thing slides up and down. There's a motor inside here, and this plastic thing here is just a cover, okay, that covers this stuff, the guts in here. So let's take that cover off. And there's just like these little tabs on here. And this is going to show us the guts that are in here. Let's see if we can get this last tab right here. There we go. Okay, and this slides right out, okay? All right, so let's look inside. And I think I just found the problem. So this is all busted, I think. Let's take a look in here together. So this cover here pops off. So let's take this off, okay? And there's a screw holding it on, actually. Let me get my drill bit. And it's got these really goofy security screws, and I'm sure you guys know what they're called, but I don't. So there's one right here. Let's see if we can get that. That's not the right size bit. I also found that a standard screwdriver will work to remove those. So I need to get that screw off, then we should be able to pop this off. But I think I see the problem right here. There's supposed to be a mirror, and this thing's just completely busted, I think, back here. I'm not positive. All right, let me find a screwdriver here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this, and we're going to pop this little cover off. And that screw should be really the only thing that's preventing me from lifting this off, I believe. So let's get this off. You know, this has been kind of fun, because honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been researching and reading like a madman, asking questions to hopefully the right people. But really, I have, it's funny, working on these arcade games kind of has given me the confidence to take stuff apart. My microwave broke, and I isolated it to, there was like a control board that was part of the little keypad, and so I looked up the part number online, and I found it on eBay, and I fixed my microwave, I don't know, for like $30 instead of going out and buying a new $300 microwave. So I was pretty proud of myself, and I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for this hobby. So, all right, let's take a peek in here because, all right, so the problem with these things, I guess, is the mirrors, okay, and the magnets. What is this? This doesn't look right. I don't know. There's like a spacer behind that. I guess there's mirror. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. So this is a mirror right here. And the laser comes out of there and it hits that, okay? And I guess it's supposed to then kick it down through here. And there's like a little, look at this back here. That doesn't look right to me. Do you see this? That doesn't look like it belongs there. I don't know. That seems really odd. Let me get some needle nose pliers and see if that is something that just kind of fell in there. Because that doesn't look like it belongs. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's remove it and see if we can, if it's just sitting in there. I don't know. That looks odd to me. Okay, so that's what I just pulled out. And I don't know what this is. Is this supposed to be there? It seems weird to me. Maybe it does go back there. I don't know. Maybe some kind of cushion or something? Oh, guys, I don't really know what I'm looking at. Like I said, the stuff you're supposed to rebuild on this are these mirrors. They fall off. And they said that if you can, they get frozen, okay? And what I read, I should actually open up the, if you touch the mirror and it doesn't move or something, then it's frozen. But I'm not sure if I'm actually touching the right spot. I wonder if I should go get that documentation and we should kind of read it together. Yeah, I think I am going to do that. 1 second. Okay, so I pulled up this Philips, it's actually like a Firefox Philips Laserdisc player kind of rebuild instructions. They're on the Dragon's Lair project website. And I have to tell you, I just kind of read this really quick here, because it says, observe the two latches on the left-hand side of the cover, depress the latches to loosen the cover, and carefully lift away the objective. Oh, I didn't do that. Lift away from the objective lens. Okay, I did do that. So we removed that cover that was here that had that plastic thing that was covering the center well up, okay? And then it says, congratulations, you removed the covers you'll need for this hack. You removed the covers, you should now be able to see lots of interesting things. A mirror at the back of the player, the objective lens on the optical head, the head on a sliding shaft, and the mirrors in the optical head itself. Okay, so let's see if we can identify, there's no pictures here, so that's the mirror in the back, okay? This is the head, okay, that slides on this shaft, right? And then it says that there are mirrors underneath the optical head. It says, and the mirrors in the optical head itself. Now, if I look over here really carefully, I could see that there's mirrors down there, and that's what they're talking about. Can you see that? Right down in there, okay? So I guess there's two mirrors, okay? And then if we read on here, okay? So it wants us to diagnose this for sticky mirrors, okay? And those mirrors that they want me to look at are not easy to get to because they're underneath this head. And I could slide the head around by moving this gear, but the mirrors are actually on this side, so that doesn't really do me any good, okay? But it says here, observe the two mirrors beneath the objective lens. Okay, this is the objective lens, right? These are the radial and tangential, this is going to be some nerdy stuff, tangential mirrors, right? The radial mirror pivots to allow the beam to attract radially, compensating for errors in the accuracy of the center hole in the laser disc. And the tangential mirror pivots to allow the beam to attract tangentially, compensating for errors in the speed of rotation of the disc itself. A feedback mechanism driven by the optics of the Laserdisc player drives these mirrors to always correct for deviations in the roundness of the Laserdisc and or speed of its rotation. This feedback mechanism produces a small current which gets fed through coils of fine copper wire which are wrapped around the inside of the black plastic housings in which the mirrors are mounted, creating a magnetic field around the mirror. I mean, guys, are you enjoying this? This is some hardcore stuff. I have to tell you, I'm not following it. So, a pair of magnets is glued to the back of the mirror. The magnetic field created by the feedback current in the coil combined with the magnetic field of the mirror magnets produces a force which acts upon the mirror, causing it to pivot to the correct position required at any instant in time to keep the beam on track, okay? So there's mirrors in there, and they need to be able to rotate, okay? And if they fall off the magnetic part, then it doesn't move. It's just frozen there, okay? I guess that's what I'm getting, understanding here, is that there's an electric, almost like a coil that's causing these mirrors to rotate to kind of grab the beam and put it in the right spot, is what I'm thinking, okay? The most common problem, and the one which we are attempting to fix with the Firefox players, is that of sticky mirrors. Over time, the glue attaching the magnets on the back of the radial and tangential mirrors tends to decompose. Eventually, vibration from transporting or movement of the mirrors will cause the magnets to slide out of positions or detach themselves altogether, eventually whether by a way of a magnet sliding too far and sticking to the metal of the coil or by way of a magnet becoming detached completely and landing on the coil. The radial and or tangential mirrors will become immobile. Okay, the mirrors are surface silvered. That means they are initially constructed by spraying a thin layer, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on to say, diagnosing the problem. Using a cotton or foam swab, gently nudge the edges of each mirror. To minimize the risk of scratching the mirrors, nudge the mirrors at the edges, not their main surface. The mirrors should pivot freely along a central axis and should return easily to their original position when the swab is removed. If both mirrors pivot freely, you've just proven that the sticky mirror problem isn't what's wrong with your player, and I'm at a loss to explain how to fix it, but at least you know. Odds are good that at least one of the two mirrors will not pivot. Congratulations, you just diagnosed the problem. Okay. The problem, though, is I can't get to the mirrors. Was I supposed to take this off? Maybe I should review the rest of these instructions because I kind of skipped some steps about taking it apart. Yeah, you do have to remove the top cover. You should be able to, through clever twisting, navigate it. Yeah, I think I need to remove this part right here. Because you have to remove the top cover. Okay, screw 12. The entire half of the laser player should come loose. I already took that off. The objective lens strap. The lid is a squarish piece of plastic attached to a large metal arm. The metal arm contains 2 screws. These screws, blah, blah, blah. I need to figure out if I took this thing apart enough. because I didn't read the take apart instructions because I already took it apart. And I'm reading just really quickly here. You got to take the cover, the side panel, the front panel, did all that. The lid, that's off. The top cover, the lens strap, deck cover. I think I took it all off. They make it sound like you're just going to like see the mirrors. Like, hey, there they are. You know, start poking them. I don't see the mirrors at all. I mean, barely. Let me see if we can kind of look through here, this hole, and see if we can see those mirrors. That ain't going to work. I mean, I kind of see the mirror. I see a piece of it. I don't see both of them, though. Man, I'm starting to think this is beyond my pay grade. I mean, what do I do? Do I just start taking this thing apart? Okay, so I clearly see the one mirror right there. And I'm wondering if I should take the cotton swab and see if we can just kind of move it. If you guys can see what I'm doing, but... Alright, well, I'm moving it. I mean, I can't really tell. I mean, is it supposed to pivot? All right, and then there's another one over here I can see, but it's at a really goofy angle. And you guys can't see anything. I know this is horrible video. Here's the other one right here. I guess I can see it, but not easily. Oh boy, I can't tell what's going on here. You know what, guys? I think I need to stop here. I think we're going to take... I'm going to take some photos, and I'm going to talk to some people, and we're going to come back to this. I'm not giving up on this just yet. You know, I might send this Laserdisc player to that dude in Tennessee if I can get a hold of him. Maybe you guys have some ideas, because I don't know what to do right now. I mean, we definitely got somewhere. I mean, we fixed this board. The Laserdisc is spinning. Everything seems to be running, but there's something else wrong, okay? And I don't know what it is. It could be those mirrors, you know? I'm not really diagnosing the issue because I can't really see them clearly, and I don't get that. So, because the instructions make it seem like those mirrors should be just staring at me, and they're not. They're completely hidden underneath that. So... Arg. So, I don't know what to do. You know, I got the Dexter thing to fall back on, right? That we might end up doing that ultimately. But I think we're going to stop right here. I think that I need to sit on this for a little bit longer. I need to do some research. I need to talk to some people. I need to figure out what we're going to do next, okay? Do we just stop and give up and get the Dexter? Not as cool, right? I mean, having the original Laserdisc player, super cool. And a cool challenge, too. Or do I try to talk to the guy who's the expert and send him the player, have him refurb it like it's brand new, which is pretty appealing because it's going to cost a lot less than the Dexter. I do have to call that guy. I guess he's really old school. I sent him an email and he didn't respond, but I have a feeling the guy's kind of old. I might do that tomorrow. I might give him a holler. And if he says he's willing to fix it, you know, for a couple $100 or less, I might just do that because this really is beyond my area of expertise because this is a precision thing. You know, like when we're working on electronics like cap kits, you know, it's very big parts and, you know, the tolerances are really big. You know, this stuff here, you know, because I guess after you do these mirrors and stuff, you got to like adjust them and stuff and tune them, and that kind of scares me, I have to admit, but I don't know. Let's think about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know, again, you know, this is kind of an uneventful video, but, you know, this is kind of the deal with the hobby, guys. You don't always come out to the garage and hit a home run. You don't, honestly. I never know what's going to happen out here, but I think we're going to stop for now with Firefox. We're going to revisit it, and I think the next video out in the garage is going to be going back to the jump bug. I think we need to stop with the Firefox for a few weeks. Because I need to figure out what I'm doing. So, all right, guys. Sorry, we didn't fix it. We're closer to fixing it. I still don't know what's wrong, but man, I just want to play this game. Oh, it's so awesome. All right, guys. Let's go back down to the basement and do some viewer mail, and we'll get out of here. So, all right, let's go back down to the basement. We made the Laserdisc player better, but it's still very much broken. And honestly, I think I am at the end here. I don't think that John can travel down this road any further, so I'm gonna need some help, okay? And let me tell you what I did here in between the garage and coming down here, like literally in the last like 15 minutes, okay? I decided to go and call that guy in Tennessee, okay? Because Martin on Clove gave me this guy's phone number. There's a legendary guy down in Tennessee. His name is Franz, okay? And Franz, I guess, is he's Swiss or something, but he used to work for Philips back in the day, okay? And by the way, my new light is somewhere in my car. I need to get that. I have the old light on again, and now I'm blinded, and I'm looking to the side. But anyway, I talked to Franz on the phone. Really nice guy, old guy, you know? And I guess he worked at Philips for like 30 years, okay? And he's one of the only guys on this planet that still works on these devices and can actually fix it. He has the test equipment in his house, okay? So I talked to him, I told him what I found and what I did, and I changed the transistors and it came back to life, and you know, he kind of was suggesting some things, and it was more or less relating to those mirrors that we already did. And so he agreed to look at it and potentially and hopefully fix it. So I'm going to send it to him. He told me, you know, his labor, his time will be no more than $100, and then whatever parts he needs. So I think that's what John's going to do. I think I'm going to send that to Franz, and man, if he can fix that thing and make it like new, and I've heard he kind of refurbishes them. You know, he goes through the whole thing, he upgrades parts, he replaces the motors, he does all kinds of stuff to these Laserdiscs. Man, it's hot down here. It's really hot, actually. And so hopefully I'll send it to him and he can fix it quick and send it back. We get that thing working and we're done. So you know what? Sometimes you need to call in the experts, and I'm definitely not a laser disc repairman, so hopefully Franz can fix this up. If not, we have that Dexter to fall back on. So anyway, I want to do some viewer mail. And by the way, guys, yeah, this video is really late. I know. Because you know, last weekend I was at Fun Spot in New Hampshire, okay? Because we just did Brofest, okay, which was the John's Arcade Impossible Outsiders tournament, and I got back late Sunday, and really I've been laying low, okay. I'm just burnt out on podcasts and live events, and you'll notice in the beginning of this video I couldn't talk, okay. My voice was very hoarse because I was yelling at Fun Spot. I mean, because, you know, like I was drawing raffle tickets and stuff, and I was screaming because I had no PA. And it was like 605034. And we must have raffled off like 30 prizes. But anyway, the tournament was a massive success. I want to thank everyone that came out. You guys are all amazing. Lots of John's Arcade shirts at the event. A lot of Arcade Outsiders fans, you know, Arcade Impossible fans, VGO fans. So I want to thank everyone that came out. You guys truly made it an awesome event. We had 93 people that registered for the tournament. We had definitely more than 100 people there, so it was an amazing turnout. It was a beautiful weekend, and I did film a lot, okay? So that video is coming up soon. I have to admit, I'm not looking forward to editing the video. It's gonna take me forever. So I filmed like just nonstop for 4 days. So I need to make sense of that, and I'll release it soon. So again, thanks to everyone that came to Brofest, and by the way, I got back, and then Gary from Fun Spot contacted me immediately and said, hey John, you want to do that again next year? So there might be a Brofest 2 this time of the year, but next year. So anyway, let's do some viewer mails and get out of here. Okay, if you guys want to participate in the viewer mail, you need to email them to me, okay? You guys can ask me anything you want, okay? Any arcade-related, gaming-related, whatever. Let's keep it fun, okay? You're going to email them to blkdog7@gmail.com. That's blkdog7@gmail.com. In the subject line, you have to put viewer mail. You just have to do it, okay? I will not find your email unless you put viewer mail in the subject. Okay, the first one here is from Dennis423. He says, John, I just wanted to say that your restores and road trips are awesome. I am a tech ed industrial arts teacher in the Pittsburgh area. Your videos have inspired me to bring games in the classroom to be restored with student help. They love working and playing the games. They also love your videos. That's awesome, dude. We got to start them young. Show all those kids my videos. Anyway, with summer on the way, I just picked up a Craigslist find for a down and dirty garage restore. The game was listed as Tiger Helicopter with no pick. I went to buy the game and realized it was a Tron cabinet for 60 bucks. I still can't believe it. I sent some pictures. Any suggestion for finding a wiring harness, a PCB stack, a control panel, parts? Keep up the great work. Thanks, Dennis. And he sent some photos. You know, Dennis, you know, buddy, you're in the same boat that I was with that journey over there. The exact same boat. So you can see the cabinet. This is definitely a Tron. Okay, it's got the shroud back there, which is good. I'm not sure if that's the original control panel. Looks like it might be. Obviously, the Tron flight stick is gone. Okay, and so you need the spinner, you need the joystick, you need, looks like the wiring harness you said, and the PCB stack. Well, you know, buddy, that's not going to be easy. I went through it with the journey. It is going to be an uphill battle. You know, I have a feeling that, okay, I'm going to give you a few tips, okay? Well, number one, I'm always going to say Clove, okay? Because that is a great group of collectors who have tons of parts in their garages, on their shelves. Always start at Clove, because a lot of times you will find what you're looking for. You might have to be persistent and keep bumping the thread up. Another site to check out, you get lucky sometimes, is Arcade Boneyard, okay? Now, I don't necessarily condone what this guy does, but this guy basically parts out games and sells the parts on his website. But you know what? If he's got a Tron control panel and you need it, buy it, okay? My track and field control panel over there came from Arcade Boneyard because he had parted out a Hypersports and he had the control panel on his site, and I grabbed it. And that's how I was able to finish my track and field, okay? So, actually, it was the hinge I needed. That's right. I had the control panel, but I was missing the hinge, I think. Was it a hinge? Yeah, the hinge on the bottom. The bottom's hinged. And he sold me the hinge. And I just found it randomly on his site. And impossible to find part. But I just kept Googling and searching. So, Arcade Boneyard is a place. And then, of course, eBay. I mean, this might be, you know, just kind of common knowledge stuff, but maybe you didn't think of it. You know, search eBay. You know, the control panel populated might not be that hard to find. I know that Groovy Game Gear sells the plastic housing for the joystick, but you need the whole assembly with the actual joystick itself. But if you find, I'm pretty sure the Satan's Hollow joystick is the same in Gorf, but the plastic housing around it is different. So you could search for a Gorf joystick and a Satan's Hollow joystick and go to Groovy Game Gear and get the plastic housing, you know, because my Tron over here has the Groovy Game Gear plastic housing, because the one that I had originally on here was hosed, okay? And so I went to Groovy Game Gear and I got a new housing for it, okay? But I'm pretty sure the guts inside of this on Gorf and on Satan's Hollow are identical in every way, okay? And George Gomez actually designed this joystick. You know, George Gomez is a famed pinball designer. You know, he did Revenge from Mars, he did NBA Fast Break, he's now doing, or he was doing pinballs for Stern, like Sopranos and stuff. But anyway, so, I mean, that's really about all I can say. You know, you might want to talk to CD Jump on Clove, because he's an MCR wizard, and he always has a lot of parts. But I do think the Tron PCB is fairly easy to find. Now, the harness is a whole other story. You know, you might have to make your own or find some other MCR game and convert it. That's exactly what I did with Journey. And, of course, Rich from This Old Game has all of the artwork. So, Dennis, I hope I helped you. Good luck with your project. Keep us updated. I'd like to see how that turns out. The next one here is from Justin. Says, hey John, a big fan of the show. You always make me laugh every episode. My question for you this time is, how do you determine what amperage of fuse to use in the different fuse sockets? I have a JAMA cabinet I'm trying to get running. It has a fighter's history in it when I got it. Currently I have Ninja Gaiden in it. Also, once I get the right fuses, will I ever have to change the fuses when I swap out the PCBs? Or do all JAMA PCBs use the same amps or fuses? I've attached a picture. P.S. How's the pepper, onion, and onion relish I sent you? Did you beat Robo Army yet? LOL. Okay, so that's right. Justin sent me that Robo Army, didn't he? So here's the bottom of his cabinet. He's just got a bunch of random fuses. So listen, Justin, these fuses really have nothing to do with the PCB, really. I mean, they're more or less power related, you know, maybe before the power supply. And so no, you don't have to. If you change the PCB, you don't have to touch the fuses. If it's a JAMA setup, the fuses are usually protecting the light fixture or the coin door, or or it's before the power supply, or maybe even after it. So no, you don't have to change those. And as far as what value, you got to check the manual. You got to replace them with what's there. There's no one size fits all, because like one fuse might be for the light fixture. I don't know what was originally there, and I don't even know what to recommend. You figure out what cabinet you have and get the manual, find out what it was originally. I suspect that it was a conversion of some sort, maybe. And they might have just tapped in the voltage for the power supply somewhere, and you might have a lot of old stuff in there and old fuses that aren't being used anymore, But with a JAMA setup with a switching power supply, there's not really a whole lot of fuse action going on. I think is there just one before the power supply and maybe one to the light fixture? I'm not really positive, but I would check the manual for the cabinet, and then you'll be able to find out the values you should have down there. Because I don't know of a one-size-fits-all answer here. I know Bob Roberts has a lot of documentation on if you're starting from scratch with a cabinet with a JAMA harness. Bob has documented like all the stuff that you should put in there, like which size fuses. Maybe go on Bob Roberts' website. He also says, "How's the pepper and onion relish?" He sent me. Well, it's right here. Justin, I'll tell you the truth, okay? I haven't tried this yet, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? Well, it's got a lot of carbs in it, buddy. I'm doing the no carb thing, and it's got 26 grams of carb. This is like poison to me. But thank you. I'll share it with the family. Let's open it. And by the way, you're not poisoning me, right? I like to discourage people actually from sending me food. It seems a little risky. Maybe. So, all right, this is from Harry and David. Justin said he worked at Harry and David. Oh yeah, that lid's really on there. Holy cow, nice pop. Okay. He said in his letter to me that, wow, that does sound, that actually smells great. Why did they put sugar in it though? So he said you mix this with a little cream cheese and put it on crackers, but all right, I'll try a little bit of this. Wow, it's really thick. All right, we're gonna try this. It's almost like a gelatin. I hope I don't pass that on camera because there's like cyanide in here. Oh, that is a good time, dude. That's really good. I could totally see this being awesome with cream cheese. Oh, yeah. All right, let's try a little chunk here. All right, Justin. That was a good call sending that. That's very tasty. Got a little bit of a kick. So that's Harry and David's pepper and onion relish from Justin. Thank you very much, pal. And thanks again for that Robo Army, and no, I didn't beat it. I need to put it back in. See, it's all sticky. It's good. So, all right, Justin. Okay, so the next one here is from Bo. Hi, John. My name is Bo. I live in Holland, Amsterdam, and I'm a huge fan of you and your shows. I love all your videos, and every time I'm watching one of your videos, you get my full attention. It is just amazing. So I just started a new MAME cabinet project, only this is for 4 players, okay? What I want to ask you is, how do you design your own control panel overlay? Do you have any tips or tricks? Or special programs I can use? And where can I get it printed for the best print, price, and quality? Also, I need side art and a marquee. I'm open for all suggestions. Maybe these are stupid questions, but I Googled a lot of 4-player control panel overlays, but there isn't much to find. And over here in Holland, the arcade community isn't so big as in the States. So my last hope is you. I really hope you will discuss my viewer mail in your show. I hope to hear from you soon. TIA Bo. P.S. Sorry for my bad English. Okay, Bo. So, Bo, you want to make your own control panel overlay. Well, have I ever done that? No, but I know how to do that. I'm a graphic designer. So, all right, if I were going to make my own control panel overlay, okay, and you're saying you want to do something custom, I take it, right? Well, the best tool for the job is Adobe Illustrator, okay? It's absolutely the best job. Photoshop is really not right for layout, okay? Photoshop is basically to manipulate raster images and then bring them into a program like InDesign or Illustrator for layout, okay? But when you start getting involved with text and just laying all that stuff out over a raster image, Illustrator all day long, all day long. The type tool in Illustrator is way more powerful. And also, the vector artwork just prints better in general, okay? You know, especially when you're dealing with text and stuff like that, okay? So, I hope I didn't confuse you, but so if I wanted to make a custom control panel overlay for this, what I would do is I would create like a die line for myself in Illustrator, okay? And I would just come out here with my tape measure and I would start measuring. I'd measure here to here, and here to here, and here to here, and I would put this outline to scale in Illustrator, okay? And I would make my canvas, you know, the size of, you know, make a rectangle and make the canvas in Illustrator that size. And then I'd put this die line on the canvas, okay? And then I would have all my artwork bleed off the canvas, okay? And then I would just go to town on it, man, you know? And then if you want raster stuff in the background, like this marble pattern is probably some kind of raster thing, you know, prepare that stuff in Photoshop, you know, make sure it's 300 DPI. I do everything in CMYK, and then take your marble texture and put it in here in Illustrator, over, you know, on one layer, create a layer above it and start laying out your text, you know, and do that all in Illustrator. And then really export that as a PDF, and you could change the bleed settings in the export and then send that to a printer, okay? But if I were gonna do it, it would be Adobe Illustrator all day long, work to scale, work in CMYK, and then send it to a printer, you know. And then the question is what printer do you send it to? Well, I mean, Rich at This Old Game is the best, okay? And I know you're in Holland. I'm sure he does. I'm pretty sure he ships internationally. But Rich at This Old Game is by far the best guy out there, okay? But, you know, Rich is always very busy, and it's sometimes hard to get his attention. I get that, okay? I just went through that with the T-shirts and stuff. Actually, he turned the T-shirts around pretty quick. But Rich is just backed up. You know, he's a great, honest guy. He does just the best work in the world, but he's in demand, okay? But I would try Rich first, you know, tell him what you want to do, and he'll digitally print, you know, one control panel overlay for you, okay? And if that doesn't pan out, I would suggest going to GameOnGraphics.com. I don't think their print quality is as good as Rich. Actually, I'll show you. I made this marquee over here. Let me go grab it. I made a marquee, and I had Game On Graphics. I'm gonna put the camera here. I had Game On Graphics print this for me, and they did a pretty good job. I did a multi-marquee that was Street Fighter and Tetris combined, okay, and it's right here. So I printed this at Game On Graphics, and honestly, it's pretty damn good, okay? And I laid this all out in Illustrator. You know, I prepared the raster image right here in Photoshop. Okay, I got that all ready. I had to actually scale it up. And if you're gonna scale it up, do it in Photoshop first. You know, I corrected the colors in Photoshop. I might have put a slight unsharp mask over it. I'm pretty sure I placed this logo. That might have been a part of the original Alpha 2 marquee. I definitely placed these logos, I think. I don't know. I think I added some black in here. And then this Tetris image is actually a MAME screenshot that I scaled up in Photoshop, and I scaled it up without anti-aliasing so you get the nice hard pixels. And I scaled that up to 300 DPI to my size, and then I brought all these pieces into Illustrator, okay, and I assembled this in Illustrator, okay. You know, I brought this raster, I placed this Photoshop image in Illustrator, and I masked it off right here, so I had that nice curve, and I put a stroke in there to kind of finish it off. And then I just placed this guy over here, and I think I put these logos in. I don't remember if these logos were part of this composition or not. And then I made these button images. I actually made those in Illustrator too. Those are little vector buttons that I made from scratch, you know. And I did my copy, my text right there in Illustrator. So, and then this little red thing I did in Illustrator, and I placed an Atari vector version of the logo. You know, I don't know what your skill level is. I don't know if what I'm saying to you right now is foreign, but this is how you should do it to get good results. I think this looks pretty legit, you know. I made sure all my resolutions were good. I made sure this is at least 300 DPI at this size, you know, and I lifted these images from the internet. Well, this one was a MAME screenshot that was about this big, and the nice thing about, you know, the screenshots for the old games is there's no anti-aliasing, so you have very hard edges here, those pixels, so you could scale this thing up infinitely if you have your settings right in Illustrator, and it will not get blurry. It kind of stays crisp like that. And then this image here, I think I did carefully scale it up, but I don't know. Am I answering your question? But I think Game On Graphics is probably going to be your safest and quickest bet, and Rich is going to be your highest quality. And, you know, as far as site art goes, same deal, man. You know, prepare your raster artwork in Photoshop and then lay it out in Illustrator. I mean, that's how you're going to get pro results. I mean, that is the right way to do it. You can't open up Excel and start making artwork. Not happening. So, anyway, Bo, is it Bo? Yeah, Bo. His name is Bo. So, Bo, thanks for watching, pal. Means a lot. I love you guys over there in Europe. I think it's so cool that so many of you guys in the UK and Germany and Holland watch the show. It's just crazy. Australia, it's crazy. So, anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I guess this is like a Friday video. This is coming out on a Friday. And so this weekend, I think, I don't know if I'm going to release the Fun Spot video this weekend. I might do some jump bug stuff first, and then we'll do the Fun Spot video is going to take me a while to edit. It really is. And I just had to sit down here and lock myself at that table over there for like 4 hours and edit it down. It's not going to be fun. So, but that Fun Spot video is coming soon. You know, Greg's in it from Arcade Impossible, Fetish Boy, Sean from Arcade Outsiders, Matt McCarthy, the whole crew's in it. Brian Koo. Did I get a lot of Brian Koo video? I don't remember. So, anyway, that's it, guys, for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've never subscribed to my channel, now is a good time. I release new videos on Sundays and sometimes in between. So if you want to keep up with the videos, click subscribe. And then also, listen to my podcast, Arcade Outsiders at arcadeoutsiders.com and Video Game Outsiders at videogameoutsiders.com. And I think that's about it. If you guys want to support me, there's a support button on the homepage on YouTube if you want to kick in some shekels. But other than that, guys, we're done. We're done with this episode. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. Later, and bye.